Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, me and my group gonna talk about the variability noises in the workplace. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or known as OSHA, estimate that nearly 22 million of workers are exposed to the potentially harmful noises in the workplace for each year. It is very critical because it can damage their hearing aids. It being concerned, it stated that anything over 85 decibels cannot be avoidable. Organizations like OSHA recommending that the employees have a hearing protection program in place if their noise exposure exceed over 85 decibel over 8 hours of average or an 8-hour time peak average or TWA. Hearing protection programs are intended to prevent early occupational hearing loss and to maintain and protect the residual hearing loss. They also given the workers hearing and equip the workers with the knowledge and hearing protection that necessary to protect themselves. The objective of this study case is to access the methodology that being used in the study case, which handled in Egypt. Secondly, to carry out the measurement to evaluate the construction noise exposure both preserving workers' hearing in Egypt. And finally, to develop controls and effective preventive solutions that being exposed noise in the workplace in Egypt.
The problem statement for this presentation is that approximately half of a million workers in the construction sector are exposed to the excessive noise, which is one of the most prevalent physical contaminants in the construction sector. The most negative effects of the noise exposure are related to the hearing system and may produce occupational deafness or even permanent deafness. These effects have a very important influence on the people's health and well-being.
My name is Hamka bin Saimi, and I will explain the methodology used to form this case study. Conducting a case study involves 8 important steps. I will explain all the steps from the first step until the final steps. The first step is to clearly establish the purpose of the case study or the research. Determine the specific purpose or hypothesis is important to ensure the clarity of the case study itself. After clearly establish or define the research objectives, we move on to the next steps, which is finding the suitable case study or previous studies that related to our objectives. We consider the factors such as the suitability of the case study and its alignment with our objectives. The third step is we evaluate the quality of the sources of the case study. We assess the credibility, validity, and stability of the sources that we find. We refer to the websites or publications that are reputed, such as Google Scholar, ResearchGate, and Science Direct. The information in the case study that is up to date also being considered before we selecting the case study. After we finalize selecting the case study, we read, familiarize, and understand the materials in the case study. We take note on the key findings, research methodologies employed, data collection techniques, and other related information from the case study. After that, we apply the critical thinking to analyze the case study. We look for patterns, significant events, and the relationship between the variables or any other relevant insights. After we analyze the case study, we summarize and synthesize the key findings from the case study. We identify any significant conclusion or implication arises from the analysis. We look for the recurring themes, trends, or gaps in the research. After that, we evaluate the limitations and biases from the case study. We assess the factors such as the sample size, research design, data collection methods, or any conflict of interest. the last step in this case study methodology is to draw the conclusion based on the analysis and synthesis. Based on the analysis and the synthesis, we draw the conclusions to address our research objectives and the problem statements. We formulate the insights or recommendation based on the evidence gathered in the case studies. Now, I will pass to the next presenter to explain more.
The results are summarized in Table 3, highlighting the important parameters for the 21 workers evaluated. A. Weighted daily equivalent level. C. Weighted peak level and noise dose for an 8-hour working day for a noise dose of 100%. The noise environment to which a construction worker is exposed can be deduced from the data analysis. The daily equivalent A weighted level is shown in the chart in figure 1. It clearly shows that most of the workers, 14 out of 21, which is represent 66.7%, suffer a daily exposure that exceeds 85 decibel. However, what is worse is that 13 out of 21 workers, 61.9%, that are subjected to more than 19 decibel, which is the top limit, stated explicitly that they needed machines to perform their tasks. The chart in figure 2 shows C-weighted peak levels. There are 6 out of 21 workers, 28.6%, that are subjected to noise peaks over 140 decibel. One of them works in stage 1, which is excavation and land movement. 2 of them work in stage 2, which is foundations and structure, and 2 of them work in stage 4, which is paving and tiling.
The chart in figure 3 shows that the dose received by each worker, most of the workers are exposed to dose that exceed the maximum level of 100%. 9 workers received extremely high value of dose which is exceed 400%. This indicates that the construction workers are exposed to high dose that is maintained over a prolonged period of time. The result given in the figure 4 indicate that through the average spectrum measure for both sides, despite the great difference of level, all the occupations that require machinery have the common characteristic increase as the frequency increase, probably because of noise emission in the high frequency range. On the other hand, the workers that do not require machinery are exposed to noise that has a spectrum that decay at high frequency.
Loud noise in the workplace can leave various effects on the individual and the overall work environment. Example for the noise effect are hearing loss, concentration and productivity loss, and also increasing stress level. Because of that, there are a few recommendations that we want to share on how to handle the noise at the workplace. Firstly, we need to conduct a noise assessment. This noise assessment can be conducted by determining the noise level in a various workplace area. To measure and detect the region with excessive noise, we need to use expert advice or professional equipment. For example, sound level meter, noise dosimeter, personal sound exposure meter, and real-time monitoring system. This evaluation will assist quantify the scope of the issue and direct follow-up action. Secondly, personal protective equipment (PPE) provide the worker who are exposed to the loud noise and proper personal protective equipment such as earplug, earmuffs, and communication headset. Ensure that all the employer receive training on how to properly use, care for, and replace PPE. Monitor and evaluate the success of the PPE program on a regular basis. Thirdly, by doing administrative control, reduce the employer's exposure to the loud noise by implementing administrative control. This can be achieved by carefully scheduling time for job duty to reduce exposure, implementing job rotation, and providing quiet space and dedicated break room where workers can temporarily escape from the noise situation. Creating clear communication procedure might also reduce unnecessary noise.
In conclusion, workplace noise can significantly affect a worker's health, efficiency, and general well-being. Numerous medical and psychological problems, including hearing loss, elevated stress levels, trouble concentrating, lower productivity, and communication difficulties can be brought on by excessive noise. The employers must address noise-related issues and establish a secure and comfortable work environment.